YouTube, good evening, good morning, depending on where you are. Welcome to your midnight gaming briefing. I'm your host, Noopy. Welcome to the Bear. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. We're going to be checking out Nvidia's CEO, gloats about profiting. We're going to talk about the new PlayStation game dropping in the PlayStation Extra category. And Pokemon selling $2.2 million or copies. We'll look into that. I got a couple of things we'll go into. And I think last we'll end off with a trailer or something like that, but let's get into it. Welcome, YouTube. Let's watch.
To keep an eye out for what CEOs say in public and the ideals that they hold, especially when it comes to the sector of artificial intelligence, which is a technology that is in many ways like
That's the one thing I think is a problem now. Like before, CEOs had things to say, or like these higher ups had things to say. They really couldn't say it to the masses. They say it, with their co-workers or friends. But now they can say what they want to everyone. And that really can mess up your company if that's not what your company is about, or the view is off. The person's not seeing the right perspective. And AI is changing a lot of things in the gaming industry and the world completely. A lot of it not good. So get back into it.
shaping the potential future of our society, and these CEOs' mindsets will ultimately decide whether it's a technology we can trust to be built and employed and used in ways that are genuinely beneficial to society, or if they're planned to be exploited. And lately,
The thing with AI is that it needs to be used as a tool and not as like a replacement, right? So I know a lot of people use it for art and writing and completing certain tasks, but it's supposed to be more of a tool. And what happens is when you don't have people overseeing these tools, they get a certain amount of power. They can do what they want, and allowing them to do what they want can create a problem in the system, because it's like no one's watching what they're doing, and they'll keep pushing it and keep pushing it and keep pushing it till there's no coming back from it. And honestly, we might be close to that.
Nvidia CEO has come out with some statements that have raised some red flags. Artificial intelligence right now is something that is widely despised due to the scarcity that it's creating when it comes to computers and electronics. And
The other thing I'll say, and the reason I say this, is because it comes back to what we spoke about the other night, and with PlayStation not putting their single player exclusives on the PlayStation 5. On the PC, and not doing that anymore, only their multiplayer. And I think that had to do because they understood that the PC parts and pricing is becoming expensive. So we'll check this out, because again, I feel like it alludes to that theory of PlayStation pulled out a PC because they understand it may be too hard for customers to get a PC in the near future, like a regular person, because the pricing is so high. Which brings me another question, is how Xbox is going to deal with that. And they're talking about, I think 2027 release, or they're giving I forget what it's called, but we'll look at it. I got it pinned up over here.
components for such devices. And as a result, electronics and electronics components that once upon a time were very financially accessible are now, triple, quadruple the price, are just no longer affordable like they used to be. Right here we have this article from February 26, 2026, highlighting how surging memory costs will reduce global PC and smartphone shipments in 2026, with PC and smartphone shipments falling 10.4% and 8.4% respectively.
See right here with PC and smartphone shipments to fall, right? 10% and 8%, 8.4. 8.4 is the smartphones, but there could be multiple reasons, not only that it being expensive. They're not really innovating or doing anything new with smartphones for people to feel like we need to buy them. So that's where that might come from. But also, yes, the chips and is also playing a part. 10% PC. Now you look at and you say 10%. Oh, that's not a lot. But if you think about it, majority of the world use PC, right? So that's a big number.
There's predictions that an entry-level PC market may disappear by 2028, and that's just like scratching the surface. Gaming, of course, has been severely impacted. The Steam machine is uncertain when it comes to its price and launch date because of the constantly fluctuating prices of components like RAM.
And we spoke about that the other night, where I think they had like a quoted price. Allegedly, it was supposed to be like $700-800, I believe. And I mean, it's not officially announced, and I guess because they need to figure out pricing, because some chips and things like that, the parts cost a certain amount of money. They need to make that back, as well as some type of interest or profit.
As a result of inflation caused by shortages, you've got companies delaying next-gen consoles and companies like Nintendo thinking about increasing prices for Nintendo Switch 2 real soon, just due to the economics of it all. Already we've seen CEOs like Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, kind of say things that really highlight the complete lack of empathy and how little these CEOs can be trusted when it comes to their...
These dudes, Sam Altman, all these, they're tech bros, they're like valley types, and they're all about their money. They're not about anything else but their money. So, that being said, he ain't got nothing good to say, I promise you.
Intentions with this technology, with him talking about how AI model and the amount of energy involved in training them can be justified, because when you think about how much energy humans consume and how much energy it takes to train a human, then suddenly AI doesn't look so bad, which is just such a dehumanizing way of just looking.
Here's my question, and I guess that'd be the question in the comments, right? Everybody pushing AI this and AI that, and like I said, supposed to be used as a tool. They're not supposed to be used as a replacement, but that's what they're doing. And so that brings me to like one of the questions I have, and you could tell me your thoughts in the comments, which is, if AI replaces humans, how do we make money? How do we continue to survive, right? So my theory is that a lot of things that happen where we're confined to certain things and we're learning to do certain things like order food or becoming like more normalized is a way to start getting you used to like living a certain way, right? If you never leave your house, never do things that you would normally do because AI is going to take over. You ain't got enough money. You're going to live a certain way. You're going to do things a certain way. So, and again, all from AI perspective, right? Like all AI chain reaction. That's what, all AI chain reaction.
At human society, treating humans as a means to an end rather than the whole point of just everything we do. It just highlights a certain level of greed and selfishness and a lack of consideration for anyone that doesn't benefit Sam Altman's ambitions. And now Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang has come out with a statement that highlights a complete disregard for the negative impact that his company is having, that AI is having, as a result of this pursuit for this race that might yield incredible power and profits for corporations who win this race. It's a statement that highlights that for Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang, this is ultimately all about the benefit of the corporation. AI is more about what Nvidia and he himself as its CEO have to gain, rather than how AI could benefit society or ways to prevent.
See, that's what I'm talking about. They're thinking about profit margins, money. If we monopolize and we could be the only people that you can buy from, then we're going to make all the money. They're not worried about what AI is doing to the world overall. They're not worried about their customers, their small consumers, right? They're worried about where they can get their top dollar, where they can make the most money.
And AI's negative impact on society. Recently, you might have seen headlines like these, ones that quote CEO Jensen Huang directly saying things like, "I think the fact that everything is scarce is fantastic for us. In a world of constraint, you have no choice but to choose the best." Here's another headline from videocards.com highlighting how Jensen Huang says supply scarcity is fantastic for Nvidia as a company.
Let's see. And that's all because he's worried about making the bottom line, right? Money. You want to make that money. And being the only one that can provide these services that they're asking for, or that they supply, they're going to make a lot of money. And should he say that publicly? No, he shouldn't. But he did.
He says that scarce memory and wafers work in Nvidia's favor. And basically multiple headlines picked up on what Jensen Huang recently stated. And it all really highlights where Jensen Huang and similar CEOs' priorities lie when it comes to artificial intelligence. It's company first and the people second, or last, frankly. Now, before we delve further into this topic, you know what's a product that does actually keep people's well-being into consideration? The nutrition-focused sponsor.
Tell you. That's what's happening with all the companies. All the companies outright have these people in place, and they say things that they shouldn't say. Would he be in the headlines? Would we be watching this guy make a video and react to this video if he didn't say that? No, but he did, because they feel like they have the right to say that. Like nothing could go wrong because they're in a certain position. And I'm not saying the person, I'm saying the company. Right? Because like he said, the scarcity is the best thing for them. Because it puts them in a position where they're the best option. It lets you know what they think about.
Of today's video, Groons. I'll let Red Tank Top Yong explain further. Groons, which is a comprehensive nutrition-focused formula made into daily packs of delicious gummy bears. This isn't just a multivitamin or greens gummy or prebiotic, it's a combination of all of those things at a fraction of a price while also tasting really good. I'm someone who is busy on a daily basis, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with nutrition, and that's where these come in. Compared to your generic multivitamins, which only contain around 7 to 9 vitamins, one pack of Groons contains over 20 vitamins and minerals, as well as over 60 ingredients that are full of nutrients and whole foods, focused on gut health, energy, immunity, recovery, beauty, and cognition. One pack of these includes 6 grams of prebiotic fiber, which is 3 times the amount of dietary fiber compared to the leading greens powders, and more than 2 cups of broccoli. It contains biotin and niacinamide, which supports thicker hair, nails, and skin health. It has super mushrooms, which promote brain and gut health while supporting whole body health. It contains vitamin C, which reduces immunity-damaging, stress-inducing free radicals. It's vegan, nut-free, gluten-free, dairy-free. It's got no synthetic, no sweeteners or dyes, and over 35,000 research publications support the ingredients in Groons. It's not often you get something that offers so many nutritional benefits while being a genuine pleasure to eat. And with the option between a low sugar or a sugar-free version, you got even more agency. And by using my link in the description and comment section below, you can take advantage of their ongoing sale right now, which gives you 52% off your first order. All right, so let's get back to the topic at hand. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang's recent statement. This is a statement that comes from an Nvidia attended the Morgan Stanley conference to talk about AI leadership and strategic growth. All of it transcribed by investing.com. And during the conference,
See, the thing is that when people say, "Oh, we're the best," now you create people who want to prove, okay, you're not the best. You're sitting on your high horse. They want to knock you down and basically move you from where you are. And that's what he did here. He announced, "Oh, we're in the best position." There are people that are going to come out and make sure that you're not going to be in the best position. They're going to fight you on that stance.
Friends, Jensen Huang was asked the following. That extraordinary token economy is facing some constraints. We've got memory constraints. We've got power permitting constraints. I was in Texas with builders. We have electrician constraints. How do you see that playing out? Satya Nadella raised it in the last session. You're closer to it. Also, if it takes a little longer, is it still okay, or is it really negative if we just, the cycle on building this extraordinary token economy? And this is where Jensen Huang went all out about loving constraints, loving the scarcity that sure benefits Nvidia greatly, but kind of fucks over everyone else. He said, I love constraints. I love constraints. He said it twice. The reason for that is because in a world of constraint, you have no choice but to choose the best. You can't squander your choice. If the data centers, if the land, power, and shell is constrained, you're not going to randomly put something in there just to try it out. You're going to put something that you know for certain is going to deliver the tokens per watt, that you know for certain is going to allow you, from the moment you secure the capacity, we're going to be able to stand up an entire factory for you. We're the only company in the world that can come into your company and help you stand up an entire AI factory. Anybody here that needs an AI factory, I'm happy to help. Basically, Jensen Huang is...
It's crazy. It really is crazy. Because from other people who are going to watch it, they're going to look at it from like a money standpoint or like a high horse standpoint. But for other people like myself, I'm wondering, I'm seeing, okay, what you're saying is you taking out the humans and you putting in the robots, and that's what you're best at. And now you want a 14 company to say, okay, there's no other option. You're the best. We don't want problems, because all of it costs money to retract and redo and to figure it out and set it up. And we're the best at doing that. So you come to us, we'll do it right, we'll do it good, we'll have you set up the first time. What I'm seeing is less workforce, less people making money. And the economy isn't that good anyway here.
Spotlighting Nvidia's unique position as a leader in the industry of chips such as GPUs and the like that are incredibly important for artificial intelligence, and the constraints that are negatively impacting the vast majority of people is something that Nvidia can take advantage of in their position, because they know that the risks and stakes associated with AI are so high that they have to go with companies that have a track record, such as Nvidia, of being leaders in an industry that an endeavor like AI is heavily reliant on. The combination of Nvidia's position as a market leader combined with the scarcity and the constraints means that people are more incentivized to go with Nvidia because it's just a more secure option, combined with the fact that Nvidia just has very little competition when it comes to the GPU space.
And that's a problem. Very little competition, right? Because without competition, you're not forced to get better. You're not forced to innovate. That's like these yearly sports games that come out, right? They got one publisher doing it. You got one person, not one person, but like one game group doing it. There's no other NBA game like an NBA Live, right? There's not. It's just NBA 2K26. There's not Madden, and then like another, I think the college game. I could be wrong because I don't really play football, but I did see that they put it on PlayStation Extra. But that being said, no competition, you don't get better. And now you put yourself in a position where you let people know that there's no competition. And for me, if you're letting people know there's no competition, someone is going to become your competition. Somebody's going to say, there's the open door. You got to watch what you say.
I mean, it's basically Nvidia and AMD are the two top dogs, and Nvidia's kind of ahead of the pack when it comes to AI-focused GPUs. It's this really fucked up mentality of only thinking about the benefits that this situation brings to the entity that Jensen Huang is CEO of, and not at all thinking about the way it is all an awful situation that has made computers less accessible, that has made computing electronics less accessible. It's made entry-level electronics just something that is no longer viable, and it's completely decimated the electronics market and will continue to do so for many years to come. That's the stuff that Jensen Huang doesn't even think about, because ultimately,
That's why I'm curious, right? Like, we're not seeing food pricing go down, anything go down, and we're not going to see it go down for a while. And the same thing with these computer chips and parts and all this inflation, right? And the thing is with that is once it goes up, it's harder to come down, because they say, well, we got this money out of them, so they have it, so we can continue charging it. And that's a problem, because at some point you can't afford it. At some point you can't get it, and when that happens, everybody loses money, and then they want to try to revert, but it's too late. The damage is done.
Nvidia stands to profit tremendously. Because AI is so profitable for Nvidia, because it can sell GPUs in bulk, the gaming space only accounts for, like, I think less than 10% of Nvidia's business now. And so really what it comes down,
And like I said before, when we was looking at we talk about the PC phone drop in sales due to pricing and shortages, is that it's going to come down to 10%. It's still a lot, right? And yeah, they might be looking, oh, but it's only 10%. But you're going to feel that, because you're not servicing what your supply or your demand is, right? Because there's still 10%, there's still a demand. There's 10% demand for something, and you're not providing that. And somebody will come along and try to challenge it and maybe make it better, but at the end of the day, it's going to take a while. So it's a messed up situation.
to Nvidia is just chasing after whatever makes the money, regardless of the associated consequences and negative impacts to the world and society at large, to the people that Nvidia does not directly profit from. There's only talk here of how he's happy to help AI companies and AI factories and CEOs like Satya Nadella. There's nothing here about trying to benefit society at large. This is basically a CEO who's just stroking himself about the advantageous position that this disaster situation happens to be for his company. His statement continues, you call one person and that one person comes in, and next thing you know, you're in the AI factory business, okay? We have the expertise. We know the architecture works. We know there's enormous demand for the architecture, you know, after you've done standing it up, so we can help you get into business. When you're constrained that way, you have no choice but to make the best choice, because your revenue next year is directly correlated to it. This is one of those questions now for all the CEOs that are in the cloud service providers or software providers. If they make poor choices, this is no different than me choosing the wrong foundry. This is no different than me choosing, you know, the wrong memory, the wrong anything. Basically trying to position Nvidia as the most reliable company when it comes to building AI factories and acquiring the chips that make these AI data centers possible. Trying to position it.
Again, it's the same question for me. Is like, yeah, all about the profit. You're forgetting about the little guys, which is your gaming ecosystem, and then you're talking about replacing humans, and that's the biggest thing for me. You're more worried about creating AI factories. Oh, it's easier to train the machines than humans. You sound inhuman, straight up.
Nvidia is the only company one can rely on if you want your AI data centers and your AI factories to be successfully implemented and built. He continues, because everything is so constrained, if I choose poorly, my revenues are affected, everything is affected. They can't choose poorly, insisting that anything but Nvidia is a poor choice. The second thing is, NVIDIA's, as you mentioned, working at such a large scale. Our supply chain, one of the things that we do with our money, of course, is to secure our supply chain. One of the things that we do with our capital is to secure our supply chains, that when Satya asks me to help him stand up a few gigawatts, the answer is no problem. No mention here of when customers need GPUs to ensure that their PCs can accomplish.
Because they're not worried about their customers. They make more money with these contracts and with building these AI infrastructures, these AI warehouses, these AI mainframe systems. That's where all their money's gonna come from. They're not worried about selling a couple of 100,000 consoles with chips in it. That's not making them the big bucks. You're talking about contracting jobs with millions and millions of dollars. They don't care about the customer, the small guys.
The tasks that it's meant to, whether it's gaming, whether it's productivity, whether it's work, whether it's graphics intensive software that might be key to someone's career. None of that is important here. It's about ensuring that when Satya Nadella and Sam Altman and these kinds of CEOs call Nvidia for
And that's another thing. All these people that they rely on that type of technology. Content creators, right? They want better PCs and be able to push the limits for certain games, and even if they're streaming, they want to be able to play the game, and they need certain items that are not cheap anymore. They're not built for the regular consumer. People who do art, people who write, people who travel and do blogs, right? They need certain things, and they're not thinking about that because it's 10%. It's not their whole thing. And again, it comes down to money. Why? These contracts make so much money.
mass supplies of GPUs to power their AI endeavors, he'll be absolutely ready for that. He then says the reason for that is I got all the memories, I got all the wafers, I got all the CoWoS, I've got all the packaging, I've got all the systems, I've got all the connectors, I got all the cables. Which is straight up.
Got everything but a sense of humanity. That's what it sounds like to me. Everything but a sense of humanity.
Sounds like supervillain speech, just straight up saying we got all the power right now. We have set ourselves up for victory in this particular set of circumstances where constraints and scarcity are woefully beneficial to Nvidia, and it's a scenario that sets Nvidia up to be the only solution to your AI problems, because basically nobody can compete with us, and so you need us, is kind of the message here, low-key. Not even that low-key, really. He continues to stroke himself with, you know, everything from copper to multi-layer ceramic capacitors, everything secured. That's one of the reasons why Nvidia's balance sheet being strong is so strategic. A strong balance sheet today is not only helpful, it's strategic. You look at the amount of revenues we're shipping into, just look backwards and look at the amount of supply chain capacity we had to go secure, or that they have to believe. You know, if you set up a factory, a plant, a DRAM plant, and I come in and say, you know what, go ahead and set up the DRAM plant because I'm gonna use it, that goes a long way. You might as well take that to the bank, as many of them have. I think the fact that everything is scarce is fantastic for.
He loves to say that. He really does. And it's crazy to me. Because, again, it's all about him, his pockets, like the company, making the most money they can. Forgetting that Microsoft wouldn't have been nowhere with the regular people buying all the wiring and all the parts and all the PCs and all the peripherals and all. You just forgot. And you got to take the power, and you're like, I want everyone to know. Crazy.
for us, is how he concluded this entire rant. The thing about AI is that it's such a powerful technology that whether it's beneficial or whether it's detrimental depends greatly on the leaders of that technology's mentality and their intentions. And time and again, folks like OpenAI CEO Sam Altman and Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang say things that make it impossible to trust that their intentions with this technology are good.
Every time. Every time. It's never been like, oh, we intend to fix, I don't know, pollution, right? Or fix anything that has to help with humanity, right? It's none of that. It's how far we can push AI. How far we can push AI before we're like, oh, that's good. Or, oh, we messed up. And the thing is, we don't think about it. We can have all the blueprints and we'll still not think about it. We just want to do it. See how far, how famous, how powerful we can become without consequence, without repercussion.
That they won't screw us all over if it ultimately means the normalization of this technology in a way that brings them profit. As long as the end goal of making these companies a shit ton of money is achieved, nothing they say gives the impression that they really care about whether this technology is implemented in a way that can be abused and in a way that creates more of like a dystopian scenario rather than this utopia that they keep promoting with.
And that's the thing. I feel like they keep thinking of like this future of AI. It's like this utopia of like connectivity, and you're not seeing the outside perspective of all the damage you're doing, all the problems you're causing.
AI's advancements and how it will benefit all of us. Like, it's just so difficult to trust that. So much of the technology's ability to be beneficial relies on the moral standing of these CEOs, and time and again they prove that their morals are completely bankrupt. But hey, at least for gamers, Nvidia shipping essentially neutered GPUs like this RTX.
Nvidia reportedly working on RTX 5050 with 9 gigabytes of VRAM on a 96-bit bus featuring an 28 gig module RTX 5060 with a cut down G820. It's like, okay, so instead of decreasing their prices on the ones they already made, let's build one lower and forcing developers and all these, because see, when you're doing this, developers have to put that into consideration, and not just like game developers, anybody developing anything for a computer, for software, they got to worry about this. They got to worry about this. They got to worry about this. This is a big thing. Because first of all, what is a 9 gigabyte? Now, I'm not a computer genius or savant, but I could remember seeing like a 4816 type of thing, but I don't know. I never seen it before. So
5050 with 9 gigabytes of VRAM on a 96-bit bus. This is something that's been making the rounds on social media, with mega-sized GPU tweeting new product RTX 5050 9 gigabytes GDDR7 96-bit. Nvidia knows it can give you a 5050 5060 128-bit 12 gigabyte with the new 3 gigabyte GDDR3 dies, but no, you got a 5050 9 gigabytes because the most important Nvidia components are going towards AI, and screw the rest of us. And so the impressions that Nvidia CEO's recent statements has generated is that they just really don't give a shit about customers or about people and human beings at all. And yeah, few corporations truly ever do. It's about
imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI.
Feigning caring for customers so that they feel comfortable in buying their products is really what it comes down to. But now that the customers for Nvidia, their main customers, aren't, us, right? the people who use computers and play games and stuff like that. It's just the select few AI companies. He doesn't have to hide his apathy for the public anymore. All he has to do now is suck up to all of these CEOs and companies pursuing AI.
And I honestly hope that it backfires on him, because you legitimately chose your side, and that side isn't the right one, in my opinion. Obviously, everybody's entitled to their opinion. Everybody has an asshole. So, you know what it is.
And he stands to profit far more than appealing to your average Joes. And the thing is, Jensen Huang isn't necessarily wrong when he states that this current scarcity and this whole situation is greatly benefiting Nvidia. That's just factually correct.
No, he's not wrong. He's absolutely right. And it puts him in a position where he feels like it's necessary for him to say that.
When you look at Nvidia's recent financial reports, they've generated far more money engaging with AI and participating in that industry than they've ever generated in the gaming landscape or in the electronics landscape, in the GPU landscape of having those be more focused on consumer electronics. But it's the celebration of this situation, the celebration of constraints and scarcity negatively impacting everyone else but certain sectors. It's this complete lack of empathy and showing literally
it's one thing not to care, but to say you don't care, it's crazy. And that's what I think it comes down to, right? It's not saying, oh, showing it. It's the same thing I was saying earlier, where people didn't say things much when we didn't have the internet and ways to communicate with everybody. You didn't say much. You let things happen, and it was what it was. Nowadays, you can't let things go. You can't let things simmer. You have to get on the internet. You have to say something. You have to make sure that your word's the last word, or your word is even heard.
Love for constraints and love for scarcity, saying that it's fantastic for us. It's this celebratory attitude surrounding these circumstances that suck for most people that really shows who Jensen Huang is deep down, how ruthless he is as a CEO, and really doesn't give a shit about honor and morality as long as Nvidia as a company and him as a CEO get to profit and benefit. And it's these kinds of people who you cannot trust with a future that runs on a powerful technology like AI that these CEOs are going to be leaders of. In the comment section of this post highlighting how CEO Jensen Huang said that scarcity is fantastic for us, people are saying things like, is he trying to make us angrier than people already are?
Right.
They've never been a pro-consumer company. But you've got folks continuously signaling the challenges that building AI infrastructure faces, the insane costs associated. I mean, trillions of dollars required to set up the data centers that would allow their vision of AI to be fully realized. The infrastructure that still hasn't been built, that needs to be continuously built. The amount of power that AI consumes and the amount of money that needs to be spent to power the AI data centers and infrastructure, combined with the compute bottleneck, as highlighted here by Logan Kilpatrick, who works for Google and their AI endeavors. He straight up just came out and said the compute bottleneck is massively underappreciated. I would guess the gap between supply and demand is growing single-digit percentage every day. And the end result is that, according to him, in practice, this will be the rate limit on the impact AI will have.
Yeah, it gotta be growing. Yeah, it has to, because every time you talk about AI, every time somebody makes a video about AI, your commercial is an AI video. And then that over and over and over, people get into ChatGPT and X, right? And they got this over here, this thing, the Grok, I don't know, right? The Grunk thing. And that's AI, right? So, and people jump into there, they do that. You have multiple apps that use it. Computers use it, phones use it, and every day somebody new is getting into AI technology and software. And with that, you're getting more demand. Oh, I need AI software. someone speaks to somebody, the whole different company doing well because of AI. And I see them commercials all the time where it's like, oh, if your company doesn't have this form of AI, it's not going to work well. It's like, what did we do before that, right? So, yeah, it has to be growing every day, and there's not going to be a stop to it because they're not looking for a way to supplement what people need. So yeah, it'll keep growing.
And the economy / society. Basically, the amount of compute that exists is limited, and AI's compute demand is far exceeding the amount of compute supply that actually exists. Here we have Jan Kronberg, who also put it best, who also is in the AI industry. He said, honestly, everyone talks about AI changing the world. But if even Google is running into compute limits, that tells you something. You can have all the ideas in the world, but if there aren't enough chips to run them, progress slows down whether you like it or not. AI isn't just a software story, it's a supply chain story now, and that simply doesn't scale overnight. It's unsustainable cost that isn't being made up for due to the level of revenue not keeping up with that cost. And it's also just supply constraints that limit how much compute can go around for all of these different AI ventures. Further highlighting Jensen Huang's intent to ensure that AI becomes an essential, normalized part of society so that Nvidia itself can be positioned in a really powerful place is this blog post published on March 10th, 2026 by Jensen Huang on Nvidia's official blog site, where he said that AI, it is not a clever app or a single model. It is essential infrastructure like electricity and the internet. That's his dream.
Calling it essential, like the electricity, when they're legitimately costing so much electricity that it's raising the price of electricity. All right. It's not essential.
Right? That's any AI company's dreams, that it's so essential that, you have to give money to these companies to be able to benefit from this technology because of the essential nature that it has taken as a result of its normalization. That's not
Exactly. Everybody normalizing it. The companies start using it more and more and more and more and more, to the point where like anything you do is AI. You call a place to set up an appointment, that's an AI operator now. You call to get food, that's an AI operator. You call to set up anything, it's AI. Everything is AI. And if you ain't got it set up right, your company's losing business. If you ain't got it set up at all, you're not in the next top percent, because all these companies are building AI. They're using AI. And now you feel lost without it, right? So that's what they want you to feel. It's an essential need of you running your business. It's an essential need of you taking care of everyday life things that we used to do normally. And they want to use AI to like, oh, it's essential. It's a necessity. Acting like we didn't do things before AI.
where it's currently at, but that's where these AI companies or AI supporting companies hope this technology will go, because the profits that stand to be gained from such a future are immense. He continues, AI runs on real hardware, real energy, and real economics. It takes raw materials and converts them into intelligence at scale. Every company will use it. Every country will build it. Just
right there. Every country. Every business. That's what they want. Why? Because it's $1 trillion contract to set up these infrastructures. That amount of money. So you're essentially letting them know, I want all the money. But what do we say with more money? Come more problems.
Just because a CEO says something doesn't mean it's necessarily true. It's just more about, again, what their fantasy version of the future looks like, because that fantasy means great profits for the company. At the same time, I do think AI as a technology is here to stay, but it's more about what are good and reliable uses of it that will become normalized due to mass acceptance when people realize that, specific uses are actually good, and trying to weed out the uses of it that are exploitative and bad and abusive and offer no benefits.
And that's the thing with not having a regulation, not having a way to tell these people who are leaders with AI that they need to work more on safer ways to use it, figure out a more efficient way for it to not cause all the harm and all the damage it's causing. And until that's something that can be done, which of course they're gonna fight that, but until that's done, it's gonna get out of control.
Yeah, he highlights right here how trillions of dollars will have to be involved in order for the AI infrastructure that is being dreamed of to be built. He tries to present this narrative of like, this will actually generate more jobs because AI factories need electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters, steel workers, network technicians, installers, and operators. But that's in the short term. In the long term, once these AI factories are fully built, and once AI gets to a point where so much can be automated that they're not going to be able to need many of these professions that are currently needed to build a thing that will take their jobs from them, then what? One of the great pursuits of AI is implement the technology in such a way that it can replace workers, replace human beings, because
and this is what we were talking about earlier, right? The question for today's video is, what happens? What happens when they replace everyone or majority of the workforce with AI? How do we get paid? How do we make money to live? Right? Because as we see, AI has already stepped into the job market and started little by little taking away jobs, and food has went up, and the cost of living has went up, and gas has went up, and electric, and all this other stuff has went up. But what hasn't went up is the job market, and all it's doing is going down now. And you're gonna get to a point where it goes so far down that you'll never get it balanced. And all the people that are not working, what do they do? How do they make money? How do they survive? And what usually happens in something like that is violence. It's disruption, right? Because people don't know what they're gonna do to survive. They don't know what essentially is gonna happen the next day, so they lose control. It's a crazy thing to think about if what happens in the future when just 40%, let's just say 40% of the world's job market is taken by AI. That's 40% of the world that's not making an income, which means that income's not being pumped back into the economy. It's not being pumped back into wherever they live for it to rotate and for everybody to be making money. Because they're not going to be paying robots, right? Robots are not going to go to the store and go shopping. So what's that going to say? It's going to be a struggle. And when people are not making enough money to pay for their supplies, they're going to raise the prices for the people who can afford that. Or it's a necessity for them to have that. It's the same with us. No matter what happens tomorrow, next week, you lose your job the following week, you got to go get food, the prices go up, you got to buy that food. Regardless, it's a necessity. Your electric bill comes in, it's $50 more, but you lost your job, but you got to pay that. Because if you don't, you have no electricity. So my question for today's stream is simple. If AI takes over the workforce, and we're not going to say 100%, let's say 40 for this question. If AI takes over just 40% of the world's workforce, what happens? And how do we survive? How do people who don't have the job gonna make money? Will the government step in and say, okay, this is what we're gonna do? Or is the government getting ready to step in and let us know? And they're teaching us and shaping us into getting used to a certain constructive way of living. Think about it.
Human beings are just more of a capital investment than robots. Humans are more of a pain in the ass to deal with for CEOs because they're full-fledged human beings with thoughts and consciousness and ideals and morals and all these things that CEOs don't want to deal with, whereas robots who are run by AI and can do the same tasks, can work without questioning CEOs' methods, can potentially do things humans can do more efficiently, quicker, without getting tired, so on and so forth. That's the dream for these CEOs. Jensen Huang talks about the work that is available now because of the AI factories that are being built. But once AI becomes advanced enough as a result of the work put in by electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters, steel workers, network technicians, installers, and operators, you name it, these are the same workers who will, after they've served their purpose, be ditched and to be replaced by the very technology that they helped found. The implementation of AI resulting in...
And that's a big thing too, right? Mentally. Because you work every day. You're going to work harder now, right? As a result of knowing that AI can take over your job. Knowing that this might be your last job. Because AI will soon be able to do that. You work harder. So now they're benefiting twice because you're working harder to prove to them that you're sufficient enough, while also creating AI that will take over your job, whether you want them to or not. And they also got the extra work, the effort out of you, the maximum effort out of you. Because you're scared, afraid to lose. And they'll tell you that. Oh, if you're afraid to lose, then come here. Spend your money here. Let us do the best we can for you. Which is turning everything into an AI factory and canceling all the jobs.
More work and more people getting hired, that is contingent on CEOs having the moral and ethics to see human beings as valuable and human beings and the mass public as being the whole point, seeing their endeavors as trying to benefit all of humanity so that we can all communally, rise together, a rising tide lifts all boats kind of scenario. It's contingent on CEOs thinking that way. But CEOs often don't think that way. They think very selfishly. They think about, the power and money and resources.
That's the biggest thing for like a small person like me who struggles with money, who struggles with figuring out what... I'm an overthinker, right? I have ADHD. I'm always researching. I'm always studying. I'm always thinking of what could happen, what's the possibility. I feel like the possibility that they think of is money. It's not necessarily how far they can put the technology, but how much money they can get out of that technology before it either goes belly up or it gets to a point where they can't control it anymore, where it becomes bigger than them.
Forces that they want to attain during their tenure, which is why I can almost guarantee you that the end goal isn't to create more jobs through the implementation of AI. It's to replace as many human beings as possible so that most things can be automated, efficiency can be improved so that they don't have to deal with the human nature of humans, so they can run a tighter ship with robots instead of human beings and not having to pay human beings and insurance and, give them benefits and all these things like that. That's what...
I didn't think about that, but think about it, right? Like, for companies, they save a lot of money after the fact. Right, because you're not going to pay employees overtime. You're not going to pay taxes on employees. You're not going to pay insurance on liability. it's so much in the background of things that they're gonna save so much money on. That yeah, $1 trillion or whatever it costs to build one of these infrastructure AIs, which let's be honest, they probably got some backdoor tax cut for that too. It's not gonna cost them a lot, and it's gonna make them a lot more money. They're not worried about the small people, the workers that need to make the money to get insurance, to get food. Well, at least here in the United States, you need to get paid for your insurance, right? And all of the compounding stress that it's going to cause people. Let's see.
They want to cut out. And then in terms of the technology itself and how reliable it is, Nvidia insists that, in the last year, reasoning improved, hallucinations dropped, grounding improved dramatically. For the first time, applications built on AI began generating real economic value. But the thing is, you're constantly hearing about how unreliable AI actually is. Microsoft's own Copilot, people have tried using Windows just through Copilot, and they've said that it makes their computer seem like...
While we on the subject of AI, I'll say this as a warning. Don't take everything you read off your AI or ChatGPT or OpenAI or whatever it's called with it's fact. Do research. Say, okay, that's what it says, and then go double check somewhere else. Because sometimes, one, if you're using a free version of like a ChatGPT, they're not up to date. It pulls information from a year behind. I know that because I act. Right? Sometimes you do something that you know about, and that's how you test it. If you know something, you put it in the AI, in a ChatGPT or whatever, and you ask it, and see what happens. If your knowledge of what you know or what you study or what is on a different source, different from your chat GPT or whatever AI Copilot thing you're using, a lot of times it's not reliable. It's just not. And that's because still computers make errors. Math, number codes, all of that. It's so different. And with the speed on which it does the decision making, with the speed that it tries to execute the decisions that it feels it needs to make, it's not double checking. It's using mathematical algorithms to make the decision, not human thought process. It has no emotion. So it's not going to use, for example, if someone went to the store and said AI robot, right? And you go to buy something and you're short 5-6 cents. And you tell the AI robot, I don't have 5 or 6 cents. That AI robot's not going to feel bad for you and say, okay, it's all right. Don't worry about it. Right? And I know that's like, that's like the light thing. But that's probably one of the most relatable things you could think about. How many times have y'all went somewhere to store your little short change and you tell the cashier or the person behind the counter, I don't have 5 cents, 10 cents. And they're like, okay. And they let you go, right? AI is a machine. It don't care about your sad story. It don't care that you got 25 cents and not 35 cents. You know what I mean? So it's a lot of problems that people don't think about. And there's still more.
Competent and stupid because Copilot is consistently unable to fulfill tasks that it's asked or consistently presents misinformation when asked questions. We have seen companies use AI for bookkeeping and then talk about how months later they realized that it was making up numbers and it ended up fucking them over. We're seeing reports of how companies who've implemented AI mandates in terms of employees having to use AI to improve their efficiency actually saw like no signs of improved productivity and efficiency. And even Google's own CEO in the last couple of months, back in November of 2025, talked about how you shouldn't fully rely on AI. He urges people do not blindly trust AI as it is currently prone to.
You see? And this is, a guy in the top place telling you that.
Errors. AI is known to have hallucinations where it effectively makes things up. But a CEO urging that people don't blindly trust AI won't mean that people won't just blindly trust AI.
Oh no. And you learn that by different things. But like you tell a child, don't do this, they gonna do it anyway. You know what I mean? The way people's mind and curiosity works. So you could tell a person, don't believe the information you find on ChatGPT, and then they go and write some kind of like historical essay, and the information's wrong. Not to mention they got ways of telling if it's ChatGPT, but the information's wrong. Now you don't look like you know what you were doing, and you got it from a computer.
Because you've marketed AI as this incredibly powerful, reliable technology that can do no wrong. And you've made AI so convenient and so powerful that people will ditch more traditional methods of like fact checking and just fully believe in the AI that you've promoted as being incredibly reliable, incredibly powerful, completely faultless. When you've got CEOs like Jensen Huang insisting that hallucinations have dropped when that's really not the case and hallucinations are still prevalent with AI, people will start to blindly trust in artificial intelligence's wrong information, its wrong data. They will start to trust in its hallucinations. It's the equivalent of saying don't blindly trust the internet and the information in there, except the internet is unfortunately an environment.
And it's true. It's a big environment. People gonna do what they want. They're gonna see things, say things, mimic what other people or what things are doing without double checking, fact checking. Back in the day, growing up, you wrote an essay on the computer, you did spell check, right? Like in our mind, we was always double check your homework. So certain people grew up like that, to double check. The computer, it's not built that way because it feels it's always right.
That in certain respects is unregulated enough that misinformation is allowed to spread because social media companies refuse to crack down on misinformation. But yeah, hallucinations continue to happen with artificial intelligence.
That's the other thing. I deleted Facebook and uninstalled it after like years because like you could legitimately tell they don't care no more. Everything is AI. You can tell it's AI. And then on top of it being AI, you got AI answering in the post to the AI on top of other people responding to it because they can't tell what the difference is. It's prevalent on YouTube, TikTok, any place where you can place an AI video. It's starting to become more and more prevalent, more and more like you see it, you know what I mean? And it's crazy. I've come across a bunch of them. I get caught up sometimes too. I'm watching a video and then halfway through I'll hear something weird and I'm like, wait, what? And you figure, oh shit, it's AI. And now the YouTube algorithm will feed you that. TikTok algorithm will feed you that because they think, oh, you like AI. The problem is that I don't like AI. I don't like the way the voices sound. I can tell. But the thing is that it's getting so good, it's getting hard to tell. And all that anybody is worried about when it comes to AI is how much money it's going to make them, right? YouTube doesn't take AI videos off because it's making them money, right? There's people going on YouTube watching videos of AI. They're on TikTok watching videos of AI. There was one commercial used to come on my YouTube all the time, and it was like this AI book reading thing. And I had to block it because I'm just like, but why are you always like sending me this stuff? I don't like it. It's not. And I get it, right? Like it helps certain people, and that's what I'm saying. If you're using it to help you, it's different from you making it replace something. You can't replace hard work. You can help, but you can't replace it.
And it is not at a reliable enough state where it can be deployed at the level that is currently being deployed. It's almost being treated as a finished product. And as long as those kinds of stories continue to come out, as long as AI continues to be error prone and continues to hallucinate, its mass adoption will be incredibly difficult. Paired with unsustainable costs, the limitations surrounding building its infrastructure, as well as the compute limitations as a result of this like huge disparity between supply and the demand that AI requires, all of it creates an environment where there are going to be a lot of difficulties getting AI to this place that Nvidia is.
Well, that's the video. It took a lot longer than I expected. I enjoyed it. So, like the video. I'm gonna share the link in the description. And you got to worry about this AI stuff, and people need to worry about what they're saying. Because not everything needs to be public. Not everything and how you feel needs to be online. And a lot of people who provide a service or they're in business, they always seem to be like, oh, I need to say this, I need to say that. We're gonna touch on a couple more things, and then I'm gonna call it for this evening, because I didn't expect that video to actually drag that long, but it was a good video. Pokemon Pokopia sales topped 2.2 million in 4 days, which is good to see. I'm not a fan of cozy games, mainly because they never really interest me. I tried like Minecraft and things like that, but none of that stuff really ever intrigued me. But they did make 2.2 million units in the first 4 days. Released announced 1 million units were sold in Japan alone, which you had to know that probably a bunch of kids, older adults are like chilling, just playing that. Not bad. I may try it out. I'm trying to see if my kids want to play it, and if they do, then maybe I pick it up and try it a little bit. But I'm not really a fan of that. The next little thing we'll talk about is Valve argues loot boxes widely used not just in video games, but in the tangible world, as it expresses disappointment over the New York State lawsuit. And basically, the New York State is filing a lawsuit against Valve for loot boxes because they feel like it's predatory toward gambling and stuff like that. I don't know why my thing's not working right now, and they just want to keep doing that, and I don't feel like it needs to be doing that. New York Attorney General Leada Jones was described as illegal gambling. The stream owner has shared a lamentable public statement saying it is disappointed at the decision and doesn't believe the mystery boxes in its game violate state gambling laws. Well, here's what I will say. It does, right? Because what you're doing is you're spending money to buy something that you're not guaranteed to get. And with that comes this dopamine hit of like, okay, maybe the next chance I'll get it. Maybe next time I'll get it. Oh, there's for I think it's right? It's for CS:GO. They're probably what they're talking about. Their loot boxes, right? You pull and you get like a silver knife, and you're like, oh, and then you're like, but the next one could be a gold one, so you keep pulling, but it doesn't happen. The next one might be a gold one. You get a purple one. You're like, oh, I'm closer, right? And you consistently do that. It's the same thing when you go to the casino. You play a hand of blackjack, get 18. You're like, that was close. Wasn't too bad. Next hand you get 19. You're like, oh, I'm getting closer, right? So you start feeling like you're gonna win. Next hand, you hit 20, and you feel, but you already lost 3 hands. You know what I'm saying? There's a loss there, but in your mind, you're like, if I win one, I'm good, and that's a problem. In a way of it's a, I feel like it's a mental illness because it's not something you created, but someone created for you. If that makes sense, like it's about being strong-willed and things like that. But yes, it is predatory. It is weird that you have to buy something and randomly hope you get it in a video game. Now, if your business is strictly designed behind that, like casinos, there's nothing I can do about that, right? As an adult, you have to learn what's good for you and what's not good for you. So with that being said, yeah, I'm okay with, they need to just stop loot boxes altogether. A lot of games that had it before don't have it now. And if they do, they're not paid for. I think you just win, like, you get stuff off the game and then you can open loot boxes and things like that. But yeah, they don't agree with it because they're gonna lose money. That's why they don't agree. It's everything is money. Right here, real quick, we got PlayStation Plus Extra Premium game for March of 2026. Won't fuck up my computer. I'd be very happy. Okay. So let's see here. PlayStation reveals March batch of PlayStation Plus Extra Premium for PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium subscribers. And this month, there's a great selection of a JRPG, a sports game to choose from. Warhammer 40,000, Space Marines to headline the new arrival. Persona 5 is the best version of beloved Atlas game. Will also be available. Wait, what? Oh, excuse me. Atlas game. It will be available to download. You can also embark on a nightmarish pilgrimage in Blasphemous 2. And if you're into the mood of like a retro release, the old school fisticuff of Tekken Dark Resurrection or nostalgia blast from the past. All of these games will be available on starting March 17th, 2026. So you got Warhammer 40,000, you got Persona 5, and Madden coming to the extra. And what was this other game? There's one more. Tekken Dark Resurrection, which is a fighting game. And that's in the classic section. So check that out. Well, we got PC Gamer Val, all work, no play. Oh, okay. Val says New York Attorney General violent video game. Fear mongering is a distraction and mischaracterization we've all heard before. And this is true. We have heard it before. Okay, so it says New York. New York Attorney General seeming to be trying to stir up fear about violent video games as the state pursues legal action against Val, but Val isn't having it. It says 7 hours ago, so I don't know why I highlight like that, but one of the real interesting things is that leapt out of about Val's response to New York's lawsuit against it. It wasn't really about the lawsuit at all, but about comments made by the state about negative impact on violent video games. The sort of thing that sounds like a rip straight from the headlines 20 years ago. New York lawsuit accuses Valve of violating gambling laws through loot boxes, which it claims enable gambling by enticing users to pay for the chance. See, that's what makes it a gamble. It's chance. Right? So you're paying for a chance. You're not guaranteed. You can go 100, 200, 300, 400, 3,000, 6,000, 9,000 dollars, and you'll never get what you're actually looking for. There's no actual way of getting it. to win a rare virtual item of significant monetary value. It further alleges, yes, I think because also if the weapon is rare enough, you can sell it. But I'm not too sure about that per se, but I believe that was something you could do. Many of whom are teenagers or younger. See, and that's the other thing, right? This is children. Because even when I first played CS, no, I lied. When I played CS, Counter Strike, I was young actually. Yeah, I would go into a gaming cafe. Um, it was called the computer lab, but that's where I was going, and I was a teenager actually. So yeah, and this what happens right here. Engaging in gambling in hopes of winning expensive virtual items that they can cash in on. Cause see that, and that's the biggest thing with it is you're trying to get something like uh, just an example. You have like a gold knife, and that knife is worth 10 grand, $10,000. It's a possibility that you spend $200 and pull that. But that's a rare occasion. That's luck. That's a chance that might happen. You get what I'm saying? So, and said the lawsuit seeks to permanently stop Valve from continuing to promote illegal gambling in its game and to pay disgorgement and fines. I don't know what that is. Disgorgement. It's funny because we just thing. I'm gonna put copy and maybe I'll remember to check on it in a minute. So yeah, that's the thing with Val. Reddit. Let's see. I don't know. That's weird that it got a search for Reddit. I must have closed it anyway. Well, that's it. For tonight. Let's just real quick. Tetris 99 celebrates Mario 10. So this was yesterday, or now 2 days ago. Mario 10 Day with Mario Galaxy Cup. Unlock a special special theme for the Tetris game. Resident Evil Requiem still has a lot to offer. A mini game will arrive in May. Okay, photo mode is on the way, and the story DLC is already in development. Ready to return to Raccoon City. Okay, so they got there we go. Actually, because I didn't know that, and now you'll know it. DLC story is already in development for R9. So that's good for R9 players there. I didn't play it. I might, but I don't really play horror games. And that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for your midnight briefing. It is now like not midnight, but thank y'all for spending your time with me. Good evening, good morning. Have a good night.